Hello again. I want to go through one small program. I'm going to have it all typed out and ready for us so we don't have to type it all out together to keep the video short. About a guessing game to kind of bring together everything we've learned so far in this class: loops, conditions, simple sequence, instructions, things of that nature. So, we're going to do a basic guessing game. Guessing game is going to allow the computer to generate a random number from 1 to 100, and it's going to give us 7 guesses at the value. It will tell us if our guess was too low, too high, or correct. So, going through this program, I have some pseudocode laid out. Let's just kind of walk our way through it. One, my declarations. I have 3 pieces of information I need to hold on to. I need to hold on to what the user guesses each and every time, what the random value was that the computer generated, and how many guesses I've taken each time. Because remember, I'm only allowed to take 7 guesses, otherwise, the game ends. Now, here is actually something new. We are going to implement randomness into this program. So here I am going to let the computer generate a random number using a random function the computer has in its kind of pre-built library. And we're going to take whatever number it gives us and store it into random value. Okay, I'll show you how that happens in Python shortly. Obviously, we're going to display some instructions as we start working our way through, and we're going to allow the user to input a guess. As soon as the user inputs a guess, I'm going to take however many guesses I've taken, increase it by 1 each time. That will make sure that my guesses always stay numbered and correlated with how many I've taken so that I can keep track whether or not I've taken my full 7 or not. The looping activity is relatively simple. It's under a condition. I don't know when this program will end. It can end on the first guess, it can end on the second, it can end on the seventh, but it can't go any further than 7. Okay? So here's what we have. While my user guess is not equal to the random value and the guesses I've taken is less than 7, I want to continue to get more guesses and tell them they were incorrect. So again, I'm kind of using this as a selection statement in the same regard. So while these two things are not matching, not equal, and I still have guesses left, I'm going to check to see whether the guess was higher than the random value. And if it was, I'm going to display it was too high. If it wasn't, I'm going to display it was too low. I know it's not correct because if it was, it wouldn't have gotten into the loop to begin with. Since I know it's not correct, now I know whether it's too high or too low. I can allow the user to take another guess, and I can increase the guesses taken. If the user guess happens to not be equal to the random value, then guess what? We're going to tell if it's too high or too low, and we're going to take another guess. One of two things is going to happen to end this loop. Either we're going to get the guess correct and make this false, or we are going to run out of guesses. We're going to have that value increase too much, and it's going to become 7 or greater. So when I do exit this loop, I need to figure out why. If the user guess was equal to the random value, then I'll display that they got it correct. Otherwise, I'll display that the answer was because they missed the whole problem. In terms of a flowchart, it's going to look something like this. Our start, our declaration, same as they were before. Here's something new here, though. I'm going to use a different kind of box to grab this random number. We'll talk more about this in the functions chapter, to be perfectly honest with you. But anytime you're using kind of a pre-built library function or a function even that you create later on, something that kind of gives you information or does some bulk of code for you, we're going to set it into a rectangle, but these rectangles are going to have 2 sidebars on it to kind of signify that it's a predefined process. But I'm going to set a random value to a random number 1 to 100. I'm going to go through all the same stuff: displays, input my guess, increase the guesses taken. Here's where the meat of it is. While my user guess is not equal to the random value and my guess is taken is less than 7, while that's true, I want to check to see if the user guess is greater than the random value. If that's true, display it was too high. If it's false, display it was too low. But either way, once I display one of those two things, I want to input the user guess and increase the guesses taken by 1. Loop back around, check the conditions. As long as they're still true, as long as both of these are still true, I'm not correct and I still have guesses left, do this process. Eventually, one of two things is going to happen. The user guess is going to be equal to the random value, or I'm going to increase guesses taken to be 7 or more. And so I'm going to exit this loop in false, and I still got to figure out why I exited. Either the guess was right or it was wrong. So let's just check one of those two. The user guess was equal to the random value. Display you got it. Otherwise, you didn't. So again, I don't need a half-hour video to kind of plot all that out. I think you guys can make that for yourself if you wish, but that is essentially what the flowchart is going to look like. Now, in terms of Python code, let's take a look. There is something peculiar at the very top of this file. We're going to have an import statement for random. The ability to generate random numbers in Python comes from a library called random. You have to access that library to get the algorithms that are necessary for generating random values. So we're going to import it so that we can use it in our program. We'll do that a few other times with other things throughout our course, but random is a fantastic module to import anytime you need to do random values. My guesses is equal to 0, so we're going to start that at 0. I'm going to generate a random value. Now to do that, there are lots of different functions we can pull from the random module. The best one, the easiest one, is called randint. What this does is I say random.randint. Random is the module, randint is the function inside the module. If I pass it two numbers, 1 and 100, it will generate a random number between those two values, 1 and 100. You can throw in whatever values you want, 1 and 10, 1 and 1,000, doesn't make a difference. It will give you one value between this and that inclusively. I'm printing out my directions. Now I have this here where it says print random value. I didn't have that in my pseudocode anywhere. I put that here just for debugging purposes. I put that here so that I can see what the random value is prior to executing the rest of the function. But the rest of it's the same. Get a user guess, increase guesses. While my user guess is not equal to the random value and my guess is less than 7, figure out if it's too high or too low, print it, get a new guess, increase guesses, and keep doing that over and over again until one of these two things is false. Once one of them's false, figure out which one. If the user guess was equal to the random value, I got it. Otherwise, I must have left because I didn't get it right. Let's run it and test it real quick. So here's the thing. I know the random value is 55. So let's test it at, say, 50. Logical guess. It says it was too low. Enter another guess. Let's go 75. Too high. Now I know the value is 55. Now I know my too low and too high is working. Let's just type in 55 and make sure we exit the loop and see that it marks it as correct. Bingo. So we know that's working. Let's try it one more time where we don't get it right. See if we can do this in 7 guesses. Okay. So the guess is 31. I'm going to enter in like 1, 100, 99. Okay. 2, 4, 30. Okay. Can't see it much anymore. So let's open that up. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guesses in the bank. Let's make one more at, say, 35. And it says that the value was 31. It just ended the loop for me and no longer can I enter anything. So I know even my 7 guess limit is working the way that I want. So that's a way that we can kind of stretch and put everything together and get the code that we've done through chapters 2, 3, and 4 to kind of work together. We have simple sequence, basic addition, subtraction, getting user input, print statements, selection statements, and of course, our looping structures with some independent events as well. Our user guess not being equal to the random value and my guesses being less than 7. So a quick demonstration of a little guessing game. You will have to recreate a similar version to this in which the roles are reversed for your assignment. So make sure you're prepared and ready for that. If you have any questions over how I put this together, please let me know and I'd be happy to walk you through it in more detail.